Welcome to Kids Wisdom Ocean, where every wave brings a new story and a new lesson. Today we dive into the heartwarming fable, The Dog and His Reflection, a tale about greed, choices, and the value of appreciating what we already have. Follow Bruno, a hungry wanderer, as he discovers an unforgettable truth by the river. This magical journey will inspire kindness, patience, and gratitude in every young heart. Let's begin. The Dog and His Reflection. A Tale of Greed and Discovery. Chapter 1. The Hungry Wanderer. It was a cool spring morning in the peaceful village of Willowbrook. The dew still clung to the blades of grass, and the first rays of sunlight were just spilling over the hills. A young dog named Bruno padded slowly along the cobblestone road, his paws dusty from travel. He was lean, with shaggy brown fur and ears that flopped slightly when he walked. His eyes were bright, but there was a gnawing hunger in his belly that had followed him for days. Bruno had no home, no master, and no one to share his meals with. He was a wanderer, relying on scraps and chance kindness from strangers. Most days, that meant sniffing through markets after the stalls closed, hoping to find a forgotten crust of bread or a bone with a bit of meat still clinging to it. On this particular morning, he could smell something rich and savory drifting from the baker's shop. His tail wagged slightly and his nose twitched. But before he could sneak closer, the baker's cat spotted him and hissed loudly, chasing him away. Bruno sighed and trotted down the winding road toward the river, hoping to find something to eat there. Chapter 2. A Stroke of Luck. As he approached the village butcher's shop, his nose caught another scent, stronger, richer, irresistible. Hanging from a hook outside the shop was a piece of fresh meat, still glistening with juices. The butcher had stepped inside, leaving it unattended for just a moment. Bruno glanced left, then right. The street was quiet. In one swift leap, he snatched the meat in his jaws and bolted away before the butcher returned. His heart pounded with both fear and excitement. Finally, he thought, a real meal. He ran until his legs ached, heading for the quiet riverside, where he could eat in peace without anyone trying to take his treasure. The meat was heavy in his mouth, but he held it firmly, savoring the smell. Chapter 3. The Shimmering Trap. When Bruno reached the riverbank, the water shimmered in the morning light. The surface was still, like a perfect mirror. He padded closer, intending to find a shady spot under a willow tree to enjoy his feast. But as he looked down into the water, his eyes widened. There, staring back at him from the river's surface, was another dog, a dog holding an even bigger piece of meat in its mouth. Bruno froze. His mind raced. That dog has more than me. If I can get his piece too, I'll have a feast big enough to last for days. He growled low in his throat, and the dog in the water growled back. He stepped forward. The other dog stepped forward. His greed swelled, blotting out all other thoughts. Chapter 4. The Cost of Greed. Bruno opened his mouth to bark, to scare the other dog into dropping the meat. But the instant he did, his own meat slipped from his jaws and fell into the water with a loud plop. He lunged forward, splashing into the river, trying desperately to snatch it back. But the current quickly carried it away, out of reach. The other dog disappeared instantly, leaving only ripples where the reflection had been. Soaked and shivering, Bruno clambered back onto the riverbank. He stared into the water, realizing what had happened. The other dog had never existed. It was only his reflection, a trick of the water. And in his greed to take more than he needed, he had lost the only meal he had. Chapter 5. The Lonely Walk Home. Bruno lay in the grass for a while, feeling the cold seep into his bones. His belly growled, emptier than before. As the sun climbed higher, he rose to his feet and began the long walk back to the village. His paws felt heavier now. Every step seemed to echo his mistake. Along the way, he passed the baker's shop again. This time the baker saw him. Instead of shooing him away, she stepped outside with a small crust of bread. "You look pitiful," she said softly, placing the bread on the ground. "Don't be greedy with it, okay?" Bruno's ears drooped. He took the bread gently and ate it slowly, remembering her words. Chapter 6. Lessons along the way. Days passed, and Bruno began to see the world differently. He noticed the way the farmer shared extra grain with the pigeons, the way the grocer gave bruised fruit to the children who had no coins. He began to realize that having enough was better than chasing after more. One afternoon, as he rested under a tree, he saw a small stray pup tugging at a piece of stale bread. The bread was hard and nearly inedible. Without thinking, Bruno trotted over and dropped a small fish he had caught earlier that day at the pup's paws. The pup's eyes lit up, and he wagged his tiny tail in gratitude. For the first time in a long while, Bruno felt something warm in his chest that had nothing to do with food. Chapter 7. The River Revisited. Weeks later, Bruno returned to the river. The water was just as calm, just as reflective as before. This time when he looked down, he saw himself clearly. No other dog, no tempting prize, just his own tired but wiser face. He smiled to himself and lay down on the bank. Above him, a pair of swans glided gracefully, and the sound of the current was soothing. Bruno realized that he didn't need to take from others to be happy. His hunger would always return, but greed only made it worse. Epilogue. The moral. From that day on, Bruno never forgot the lesson the river taught him. Greed can make you lose what you already have. Be content, and you'll always be richer than you think. And so, the once hungry wanderer became known in Willowbrook as the dog who shared more than he kept, the one who had learned that generosity was its own reward. The river still flowed, the seasons still changed, and somewhere on its banks, a brown dog with floppy ears could be seen watching the water, not for a reflection to chase, but to remember a time when he almost lost everything to his own greed. And that's the story of Bruno, the dog who learned that greed can make you lose what you already have. Here at Kids Wisdom Ocean, we believe every story is a wave of wisdom, and today's wave reminds us to be content and share with others. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our growing ocean of wisdom seekers. See you in the next adventure, where another story awaits to inspire your heart.